Mr. Kempe and the other members of the council, I did have a couple of comments I wanted to offer. Back in February, the Common Council passed a resolution to create a city charter committee to discuss proposed changes to the city charter and a city manager form of government. Those were two committees. It was decided to merge those committees into one committee. The committee members were selected or nominated by councilors, and I believe that the mayor designated people to be on the committee.
Can you give the names for this lady?
Yes. The committee members included myself, Jim Chamberlain, Helen Acker, Richard Simberg, Mike Kaiser, James Bacher, and Rob Brown. Sue Pulvereni, city clerk, served as our secretary. All the members of the committee spent a lot of time on this, preparing for meetings and then attending meetings. Sue Pulvereni did a really fine job as the secretary for our committee, keeping notes, arranging meetings, arranging for some people to come in and meet with us, and keeping us on a fairly decent timetable. I don't know how many times we met. We were meeting twice a month. I think we met only once a month during the summer. There are voluminous pages of written materials that were circulated. All of our minutes, all of the materials, all of our meeting notices were on the city website. PAC 99 recorded our meetings and broadcast the meetings. Due public notice was given to members of the public to comment, either to come to a meeting, to contact one of the committee people, to comment by email. We had very little input from the public. We have two recommendations. First recommendation is that a city charter review commission be established. There are three different ways to establish a city charter review commission. One is by legislative action of the council, a second is by executive action of the mayor, and the third is by petition. This is one of the very few things in New York State where the people can petition to have the government do something. And there's a minimum number of signatures that is required to do that. That is a factor of how many votes were cast in 2010 for governor. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. The second was that we think that the committee recommends that the city establish the position of city administrator sooner rather than later. I think it would be fair to say that all the members of the study committee think that the city should move towards a city manager form of government. That is one of the changes to a city charter that would have to be approved in a public referendum. The mechanics of doing a charter review, preparing a revised charter, going through the process of having a referendum could take several years. And I believe that every member of the committee, and I'm not speaking for each in this regard, this is my recollection, every member of the committee thinks that we should move towards a city manager form of government, but that we shouldn't wait until that process could be completed to have the benefit of having someone function as chief operating officer or as administrative assistant to the mayor. There's several different ways you can structure it and describe it, but to have a full-time person who is charged with oversight of all city operations and who is in fact truly full-time. Some of the provisions that we have identified can be changed by practice. We identified some things where what the city is doing is not exactly as specified in the council, in the charter itself. And the council or the mayor could address those things. Other things can be amended by a local law, and then there's a number of things that can only be changed by a referendum. So to address, for example, the inequality of population and voters between wards. We have two very large wards. We have a couple of very small wards. One of the wards is at least has 150% of registered voters compared to the smallest ward. So those kinds of, there are several things of that nature that would have to go through the referendum process. So, a charter review commission, if one were to be established pursuant to our recommendations, would get very detailed and would be in a position to advise the council as to which specific things could be done by local law and which specific things need to be done by a referendum. There are some technical and legal determinations that were beyond the scope and the capabilities of our committee. The committee members all worked very hard. We had I don't know how many hours we met. It was quite a few. There were many, many pages of written materials that we received. We interviewed probably 6 or 7 people who came to our meetings. At specific requests to talk about specific things. We interviewed the village administrator of a local village, for example, to find out about that type of position. We also met with several of the department heads and went into some depth as to the provisions in the charter for those departments. We provided, I think there's 3.5 pages, single-spaced, of specific things that prompt our recommendation that we should go forward and revise our charter.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for you and your committee for all the hard work that you do. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.